Sorry about that. Hi, everyone. My name is Yinka, and today I'll be hosting today's webinar. And today's topic will be back to school wellness, healthy habits for the family. So let's get started. So the back to school season can be very chaotic or very exciting depending on who you ask. So in one word, how would you describe the back to school season in your home? Hi, welcome. Right now we are taking a little comment poll in the chat about back to school wellness. And my question is, in one word, how would you describe the back to school season in your home so far? For me, it's usually chaotic because when I was in school, I was nervous about going back to school and meeting the teachers and seeing the classes. So it was already like a time where you're getting ready for school from the summer break. So it's always like, oh, okay, like what is it going to be like? Am I going to make new friends? As me being in the child's position, but I'm sure I've heard some parents say like it's a lot of preparation because you have to buy school supplies, you have to see the classroom, you have to get them ready in the morning. So it could vary. Some people are very happy and excited because some people really do love going to school. I don't see any messages in the chat, so we will just move forward to the next slide. So why does back to school wellness matter? So it matters because one, school transitions can disrupt the daily routines, especially when you're coming back from summer break. You have all the time in the summer to do whatever you want, and now you're going back to a structured schedule of starting school in the morning, coming back in the afternoon, doing homework, getting ready for the next day as well. Secondly, healthy habits improve focus, mood, and academic performance. Focus and mood on the parent side when it's like time for work. Also, like when you're working on different projects outside of the home. And then academic performance is very important for students. And three, families thrive when routines are consistent and supportive. So, what can make the back to school transition easier? So, engagement in physical activity, stress management, nutrition management, sleep management, and planning and preparation all help make the best back to school transition easier. So, to start, we'll start with physical activity. So, physical activity is important for families because it supports brain health. It also improves school performance and helps boost mood. Sometimes you hear people talk about like when they work out, they all feel happier and they feel, more energized, have more of a positive outlook. So exercise helps with all of that. Exercise also reduces stress and lowers the risks of developing lung diseases. And being active as a family also builds a stronger bond and provides social support. So as a family, you can spend time together, doing like creative tasks, like playing like different games. I know like I've seen families do that online, and I think it's so much fun because the kids have fun, the parents have fun, and everybody's exercising the blood pumping. Experts recommend that children get at least 60 minutes of exercise each day. And adults should aim for 30 minutes of moderately intensive physical activity daily. And I mentioned an example before, but some other examples to stay fit as a family include going on bike rides, having a dance party. That's also really fun, especially like when you hear different people's taste in music. And then also playing freeze tag and then doing family fitness challenges. I've seen a few like on Pinterest where there's like a water challenge, or maybe they have like different boards where it's kind of almost like a bingo board or tic-tac-toe board of different like challenges that you can do each day. And then also visiting the playgrounds or spending time at parks. I know I like to go to the park personally, walking around and just like people watching, seeing all the families together, and then also like taking the time to like get in some sunlight and spending time in nature. So next is stress management. And stress management is very important and it helps to recognize the signs of stress early, which these could include headaches, stomach issues like irritable bowel syndrome, anxiety, and poor sleep quality. I notice like when I don't manage my stress, sometimes like I'll see my hand shaking or like I get like discombobulated in what my words saying, with the words I'm saying. So it's important to manage your stress wisely. And to do so, you can build calm into your routine. So, and practicing relaxation techniques. So, you can do that by also finding a creative outlet to reduce stress. For example, setting a quiet time to read, listening to music, or taking breaks in nature can make a big difference. For me, I like coloring. Like, there's like a lot of different coloring books on Amazon and like the fancy pens. So it kind of just gets you out of the zone of like what's stressing you into something that's more relaxing. And it's also important for children to learn what stress is and how to recognize the signs. And this will help them better express how they're feeling when they get the support they need. So, having moments where you're talking to your children about like, oh, how was your day? Was it stressful? And then they can explain to you like how it was stressful. And then you as the guardian can just provide like insight on like how you manage stress. And then it gives them an idea of how they can also manage stress, especially like with all the homework and projects they have going on in school. So the next important thing is nutrition. So nutrition during back to school time is really important, and you can do so by meal planning and also doing meal preps. I've seen also on Instagram people rather just prep the ingredients in case they prefer more of a fresher option where they will just prep the ingredients and then like when it's time to eat, they'll just cook it all together. This helps save time and it makes it easy for families to eat well. And families can focus on having balanced meals when they're doing this. And also, meal prepping snacks is recommended as well. This includes incorporating whole grains, healthy fats, fruits, vegetables, and protein into your everyday meals. And so, it's also important to encourage portion control and choose foods that are lower in sodium. In addition, hydration is also important. Children are encouraged to drink more water than sugar sweetened beverages. I know like that's the popular thing, like with the Kool-Aid, with the juices, but water is always the best option. And also, parents play an important role in modeling healthy habits because when parents make healthy choices, the child is more likely to engage in those choices as well, especially when you're meal prepping together or you're eating dinner as a family. So having that example, it goes a long way because I know sometimes I hear children say like, "Oh yeah, but my mommy does this or my daddy does that." So they're watching and being a good example in the way you eat goes a long way. So, as mentioned in the previous slide, hydration is very important, and it's recommended that children 1 to 3 years old should drink about 4 cups of water. Children 4 to 8 years old should drink about 5 cups of water, and children 9 to 13 years old should drink about 5 to 6 cups, and then teenagers from 14 to 18 should drink about 6 to 8 cups of water, and that's daily. In addition, adults should aim to drink about half of their body weight in ounces. Also, with hydration, it's advised that families follow the My Plate chart. So on this slide here, you can see the My Plate chart and all the little compartments. So with that being said, fruits and vegetables, it's recommended that that takes up half of your plate, and then grains about 1/4, and then protein about another quarter. And then it's also recommended to have a low-fat dairy option too for a balanced meal. Okay, now time for sleep. Getting a good night's rest is really important just for everyone, not just adults and not just. And so children's ages 6 to 12 years should get about 9 to 12 hours of sleep, and teens 13 to 18 years old should get about 8 to 10 hours of sleep every day. And adults should get about 7 to 9 hours of sleep each night. So during the busy school week, it's important that the routine supports a good night rest. And so you can do this by maybe limiting naps during the day. So if you're a napper, just maybe like taking fewer naps so that you can be able to sleep longer at night. Also avoiding caffeine at bedtime. I know it's really easy to sometimes like indulge in caffeinated drinks because they're very tasty, but they can prohibit your sleep, especially at bedtime. And then also reducing screen time before bed. I've seen a lot of parents engage in that, and I think it's very helpful because like the lights are, distracting when the screen is always in your face, especially at night, because you want to see like what's going on the screen rather than sleeping. So avoiding that during bedtime can go a long way. So in all, it's important to plan and prepare. So back to school time can be really stressful because there's a lot going on. There's a lot of planning on the child's part and on the parent's part. And it's important to take steps to manage the stress that supports the whole family. And so families can create routines for the morning or at the afternoon and even at bedtime to help reduce that anxiety. And you can also do this by creating a family calendar so everyone can just like look on the fridge or look on the wall to see like what's the plan for today or what's going to be given for like dinner or lunch after school and even breakfast. And then it also helps plan activities in advance. So it's important to also have that family check-in time to talk about stress and provide emotional support because there's a lot of benefits that comes to like expressing yourself and talking things out and having someone that understands you kind of help you work it out, especially when you're a child and you have a lot of emotions inside. So having an adult to help you know where to go and how to handle everything goes a long way. And then also planning a balanced meal. So on the calendar I mentioned you can include um, like who's prepping at which child is prepping which day, and what options you have if you have more than one option. And then having the My Plate as a guideline helps to know like what each plate at each meal should look like. And it's a good example to carry on because I know there's so many different foods and so many varieties of cultures. So having that as an example to put your own cultural foods and your own spin on things, helps. And then exercise can also be scheduled into smaller sessions. So instead of exercising a whole hour, maybe you can do like 15 minutes here and there. And this could be like before school, before work, after work, just so that it can fit into your busy schedule and that you can make time to have these healthy options. And that's the end of my presentation. Thank you guys for joining. Um, these are my references, and I'll be also happy to answer any questions that you have. I do not see any questions in the chat. but feel free to reach out at any time. I'm happy to answer any questions, also provide any support or tips or anything needed because I know back to school time is a busy season and your health is always important. Thank you so much for joining us in this presentation, and I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did.
Thank you. That was great.